I'm back. Sorry about that. As I said, I had to go and drop my son off somewhere. Look at that big scar there. I had a burn there, so I'm going to just lift that up. Well, no, it's going to be showing. Anyway, so I had, anyway, we'll get back to what we were doing before. I had to leave. I had to go drop my son off. So, you know, duty calls sometimes. They technically, I could have let him go his own way. He normally gets there himself, but I'm just happened to be home. So we are going to continue with this podcast because it's very, very interesting. So this is a podcast that is on iHeartRadio that is done by the producers of Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. So we're going to pick up where we left off. We're about 11 minutes in, and we're hearing about how the church was cult-like. So I'm going to just take it back a few minutes. So we're just going to take it back a little bit, and hopefully this works.
And the Shekinah Church.
Yeah, so Kevin and I met in Sacramento. He had moved back after being in LA for a few years with his career, and he had gotten a call from his longtime friend, B-Dash. James, also known as B-Dash, is an acclaimed dancer from LA with a distinguished background in crump. James was prominently featured in 7M content with my husband Concrete, and Aubrey, who you'll hear more from in an upcoming episode. And his wife is Miranda Wilking, of the estranged Wilking sisters, featured in Dancing for the Devil. B-Dash, who is, to the best of our knowledge, still involved with the church, and he was there when we were there the whole time. But B-Dash...
So Concrete is Concrete. Hello, Mama Kay. So Concrete is her husband. With my... Now, the interesting thing is, again, we're talking about dancing. We're not talking about the church here. And she said his wife, Miranda Wilking, B-Dash's wife's name is Miranda Derrick, not Miranda Wilking.
Had given Kevin a call and had said, you should come out to LA. I have a lot of like opportunities and things going on that I want you to be a part of. And this isn't out of the ordinary for their relationship, as it's been told to me by Kevin. Like, there's been plenty of times where they call each other like, hey, I have this job, come through and come check it out, or I want you to be a part of this. So it was very much like in the realm of things that they've done in the past that have been like lucrative really for their careers. As soon as we got to LA, we went to go see what B-Dash was talking about, and he had showed Kevin all of the people that he was involved with and all the content they were making and the brand deals that they were getting, and was saying, like, I really want you to be a part of this group. And this was at the time when all of these other content houses and content groups were really big.
So content house. So remember that. It's not a cult house.
A content house is designed to offer a productive environment for influencers, enabling them to create content for their audiences while also growing their profiles and brands through collaborations with other members of the house. In turn, they typically come together with a unified goal of widening their reach, having fun together, and hopefully profiting off of it. So James called you guys in. So content houses are not uncommon. And so for him to say, hey, here's all the people that we have and here's what our living situation doing, then you're like, oh, there's no red flags at that point.
Yeah, at that first point. And we were just visiting. So Kevin and I had a hotel and we were going and hanging out with the different people. I'm just now being introduced to like his LA friends because we had only been together a few months before we had made that trip.
I didn't know that.
Oh, it was still new because we were like a pandemic love story. So that's like end of 2020 we met. By the beginning of 2021, it was when we had moved to LA. And so on that trip, after he got acquainted with everyone there, we had got invited to like a dinner. And I know I told this on the documentary, but I really thought it was just like a dinner party. Like I was like, oh, we're going to dress up. We're going to go like have lunch on a rooftop in LA. Like that's what I had in my brain. Like, oh, I'm meeting your LA influencer friends. Like, okay. Like, so that's the type of dinner party I'm like prepared for. The dinner party was like at Robert's house. It was like with the pastor. It really, even when we first got there, like I was thinking, oh, it's somebody's birthday. Like it must be.
You can have, I thought in LA you mainly had dinner parties at people's houses. I thought that's what they did. The rich people, they have dinner parties.
Be like, okay, this is like, we walked in, nice house. I am meeting like the other dancers who were involved.
And how was the energy? Was it just like a lot of the people that you had already met, the dancers, and like, so
you're just listening to the podcast? Cool.
Is it light, or is it more of like
it was very lighthearted. Like, it's a great house. We were mingling. We kind of all sat down. I didn't notice a change, like a shift in the atmosphere, until Robert had said, okay, now pull out your Bibles. I said, oh. And everyone at the time, they had like a Bible app, and that's where they pulled out their Bibles on their phones. And I was like, I definitely don't have a Bible app on my phone. And that was my first, like, when I had first realized that there was like a spiritual, religious undertone to it all.
Did Kevin know?
He was invited to a Bible study with them the night before we went and had dinner. And then the next night was like, oh, from the Bible study, he's like, oh, we got invited to a dinner party. And I was like, okay, cute. Like, let's go have dinner. But I didn't know that I really just thought it was going to be a dinner party. And then we went.
I imagine too, he probably didn't associate that it was going to turn into
no, I think he also
dinner
thought
to a Bible study.
Exactly. He also thought it was just like, oh, dinner party. And
well, or did he not tell her all the information? I don't know. I'm being devil's advocate here. Just saying.
We all sat around, and I remember like when Robert was there, and I was like, but he was introduced to me as like Isaiah's dad. So I was like, oh, it's his house.
He was introduced to me as Isaiah's dad. Well, he is, isn't he?
So that's probably why we're all having dinner here in his really beautiful house.
And Isaiah at the time, was he filming content with you guys? You guys hadn't filmed with him yet. So because Isaiah, for those that don't know, is Robert's son, and Isaiah would film most of the content for the dancers at that time. So you guys hadn't collaborated at that point yet.
Kevin had. He had. Isaiah had shot a music video for Kevin like a year or so prior. So Kevin was already acquainted with Isaiah, and like I think Isaiah had also shot for Kevin and B-Dash. They did like this really viral It concept, like the horror clown film It.
It's actually, a piece of that is in the documentary, which is, you brought up World of Dance, and the James and
Matt actually sounds impulsive. Matt 2020 moved to LA beginning of 2021. Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
and Kevin, or B-Dash and Kevin, Concrete, we'll say all the names.
Yes.
It's such a good piece. That's the other thing, is Isaiah's extremely talented, and the videos that they were putting out there were at a different level, and the caliber was really, really great, that I just totally get why that would be enticing, that comfort level going into the dinner, being like, I know these people, I trust these people, I've worked with these people.
Exactly, because almost everyone,
what hasn't been answered? Whether Isaiah is part, because we know that he was the one running 7M. What's his link to the church? Because if he's not linked to the church, then how then can you say that it's a cult? Can you see my point? No one has it. Says, well, Isaiah was there, or whatever. But, and they're acknowledging that he produces good work, talented work. But by all these allegations, they're probably destroying his career. Well, Isaiah isn't being sued. That is also a very good point. But he's the one that is supposed to be behind. He is the one that they've all said was running 7M. Robert's name was the boss, but Isaiah was doing all the legwork for it, they've said. So, and again, they've acknowledged that he does all the filming of the content. So, I have red flags about all these allegations.
at like that dinner table, Kevin had known previously, been friends with for years, like not just like, oh, I've known them last year. Like this is like 10 plus years of like breaking bread with these people. Like that's why you said like the level of comfortability. It was new to me, but I could see the familiarity between all of the dancers. Really
makes perfect sense.
Okay, question. Then why, if they were being friends for years, I thought they couldn't have friends outside of the cult? And they didn't allegedly work with anybody outside of the cult. Yet Kevin had previous experience with Isaiah.
mm-hmm. We'll be right back after the break.
At Bunnings, spring is magnificent.
In a stranglehold, with law enforcement seemingly powerless to intervene.
Bosses on the commission had no idea what was coming.
When you're just starting out in your career, you have a lot of questions, like how do I speak up when I'm feeling overwhelmed?
Or can I negotiate a higher?
Together, we'll share what it really takes to thrive in the early years of your career
without sacrificing your sanity or sleep.
Listen to Let's Talk Offline on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you.
Okay, so yeah, they're my questions. That's the questions I've got from this.
You get your podcast.
If anyone knows the answers, please let me know. If I've missed a part where Isaiah was instrumental in the leadership of the church, then let me know. I know he's been accused of being a mentor because what is being claimed, such as associations and friendships, is untrue. Well, remember, Kylie on her podcast, her complaint was that she couldn't control what she did. She was told who she had to dance with, when she had to start, when she had to finish, what she had to do. That's not a cult-like. That's not cult-like. That's been in show business. That's been in the entertainment industry. When I was doing extras work, I had to walk down the street, like they said, we need somebody to act as a couple, walking down the street arm in arm. They just said, you two look like you'll make a good couple. This is what I want you to do. And so you've got a complete stranger who you've never met before. Suddenly you've got to pretend that you're a loved up married couple walking arm in arm down the street for a shot, for a scene. You may not even know their name until you go, oh, by the way, this is my name, and or you just say, hey husband, whatever. But that is what her complaint was, which with her complaint was nothing to do with the church. And some of the allegations about underpayment and stuff, that wasn't to do with 7M, that was to do with the real estate company. Unless they can show that the pays, or all the pays for all the companies goes through the church, I don't know that you're going to find a causal link there. Anyway, off my soapbox. What's happening?
Hi, it's Andrea Gunning, host of Betrayal.
That was so real for me was always just a game for him.
To betrayals in your own family.
When I think about my dad, he is.
And start working, which is what, after a big gap of like, especially Kevin not being able to
Yes, short order says, yes, grab two people who fit in frame with the right colors on, and they're talking in film, asking each other's names, LOL. Yes, that's what they do, right? You don't know anything about the other person. You've just got to pretend that. And like when they say you need to walk down arm in arm, and then you've got to stop at the end of the street and stare in each other's eyes and then hug. It's very confronting. Do it. And if I didn't want to do it, you could say, I don't want to do it. And they give the scene to somebody else. You're probably kicked from the set then and your name gets blacklisted, but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, you do what you're there for a job.
And not being able to get as many jobs, and like he was starting to get more brand deals. So
I need to go back a bit. Sorry, we've missed it.
But in LA, that's actually a for you that do LA where you have
people getting invited experience with 7M and the Shekinah Church.
We're talking about me.
That's right. So what was your initial impression of 7M Shekinah going into the dinner, flash forward, meeting more people, getting invited?
See, they've interchanged at 7M Shekinah.
I would imagine, to a service.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial impression?
See, my initial impression was really at the dinner, and I think we got introduced rather quickly because that first dinner that we went to, we had told people, oh, we're thinking about moving to LA. We're actually looking at an apartment tomorrow. We were trying to get a feel of like, okay, what's the price range? What's something that we could afford? Where would we want to live? So we had mentioned that at the dinner table, and Robert had said like, oh, I actually have a home for you that you can rent 2 bedrooms out of this 5-6 bedroom home. And I'll only charge $2,200 a month, which is like, for LA, that makes sense. I think a lot of people are like, that's so high. I'm like, it is, but in LA, that's actually a really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, and I'll just let you go in, no credit check. Like you could pay the prorated rent for the rest of the month, and then $2,200, and you could fit right in.
Okay, so another question. Robert said you can rent a house. She hasn't said that they've had to join it. They haven't had to join the church to get the house. She hasn't said that they've got to be part of 7M. So he just has said, I've got a house. Interesting. Yes, it does sound a little bit like PR control, doesn't it? Where does this fit in the narrative that they were forced to do certain things? Because she has not said, Robert has said it's conditional. She just said, we said we were looking for housing. Robert says, I've got a house and I'll let you do this. Sounds like he was trying to help them out from what she's saying. I don't know.
And you could start shooting content with everybody, basically. And so we were like, okay, that would cut out a lot of process for us if we could just get right into a place and start working, which is what, after a big gap of like, especially Kevin not being able to.
So you can shoot content. But where is the thing to say that they have to go to church, I guess? She's not said that it was conditional, which is what a cult would be, right? Wouldn't it be you can have the house, but you have to join the church? She's not said that at all. What they've said was you could start shooting content with everybody else. Anyway.
To get as many jobs, and like he was starting to get more brand deals. So even before we had left to LA, we had worked on a couple of things, but like even just having help with that and being amongst his friends whom he usually does business with.
Again, who I thought they couldn't have any contact with people not in the cult. Why, if they were his friends that he usually did business with, were they engaging with him if he was outside of the group? So far,
he's known for a long time.
Nothing she said has been unlawful, but that's not unlawful. I haven't finished. Well, that's right. I think from what I can work out, that like Kylie left because she thought she was more talented and she should have been getting more jobs. Someone, and that's what it could be here. You know, so and so is more popular than me. But rather than working hard, it's just easier just to make allegations of things. And
I see the potential here. Like there's so many talented people just in this room who are like experts in their crafts.
And that was a content house?
So when we had first moved in, the house was actually occupied by other church members. Their names are Marilyn and David, and their family. They had at the time 2 kids. They were living in that house first, and they had told us, Robert and the other mentors.
Oh, and for those that don't know, the mentors are believed to be part of a system to further cement control over the members of the church in 7M. We'll touch more on that on further episodes.
Over members of the church 7. What? That sentence didn't make any sense. Now, this is the first time that we've got a connection with the church, because I was living with people who were, again, associated with the church, but not 7M. Can you see my point?
The people right under Robert at that time was Daniel and Shirley. And so we met Daniel and Shirley.
And Daniel's a mentor.
Daniel is a mentor under Robert.
Was, I guess.
Was a mentor.
Yes.
This is Robert's right-hand man at the time. Like, that was his go-to, his co-captain. And so that was the day that I met Shirley and Daniel, the day we moved in, which was, I think, the very next day. We went to go check it out and like see if, like, you know, are we going to really move in here?
So the day after the dinner, you went to check out the house, which I guess I haven't heard the story so linearly, like, which is like, this is all making perfect sense. Yeah, I would imagine if you're up in the air on where you want to live, and then all of a sudden someone's like, well, here, tomorrow, I'll just show you this house.
Go take a look.
And you go take a look, and then you meet, you know, people, and yes, you are aware at that point that they're part of the church.
Yeah, the church 7M. Didn't mention Shekinah. That's right. See, this is where we're getting, we've got grey lines.
Sure.
Yes, they had said it's other church members live upstairs, but you have the 2 downstairs bedroom and like 2 bath. It's like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It felt like our own private wing of the house, because it's like right on the right hand side. And we had the 2 bedrooms, the bathroom, and like the hallway closet.
Which in LA, that's like clutch.
It's clutch.
Yeah, for that price, you're like,
$2,200, and the rest of the house is huge. And like, even at the dinner table, like the other dancers were saying, like, oh, we shoot a lot of our content there. So we're like, oh, perfect. We'll be in the house that people come to make the content at. But it wasn't necessarily a content house, yes, because there was still a family that lived there at the time. And actually, originally, I was helping watch Marilyn's daughter, because she was still a baby at the time. Kylie is another one of the dancers that was a part of 7M and Shekinah. And that was something the church members had presented to me first. Shirley and Daniel, the mentors, were like, well, the house that she moved into, Marilyn actually really needs help with a babysitter. We can pay you X amount to help watch the baby while she's at work. She works from home. So I would watch the baby downstairs in the mornings, and Marilyn would be upstairs doing her work. And that was kind of like the first few months that we were in 7M. So
now, all right. So did you get paid for that, I guess?
So it was like a house off the bat, a little side job gig of babysitting. And I love kids. I'm great with kids.
That it
I
makes
have
perfect
kids.
sense. It tracks,
Like,
yeah.
So I was like, oh, wow. Right off the bat, we have things to do in LA.
Yeah, which is so great.
Mm-hmm.
So getting started, going in, having a place to live, having a side gig. At this point, is Kevin shooting content with people?
Right away, they were already talking about, what videos they wanted to shoot. I think when I first joined, people were still kind of getting their feeling on how we were going to operate, like as 7M specifically. That was one of the things that was kind of held over the heads, was like, I know Kylie was not a part of 7M yet, but like, if she worked hard enough and she showed like her commitment level to like what we have going on over here, because Kylie had other things going on at the time, that 7M, I think, felt like it's taking your time away from what we're doing over here. We don't know if we can trust you because you have too much going on. So
but that's a good point though, because you can't say I want all the good jobs, but you've got a foot elsewhere. So I can see why that could happen, why they would want a full commitment.
So it was very much, that's why you're not in 7M, is because your commitment level isn't high enough. And we're doing things every day. Like, that was the air that was kind of, it really was presented to us as a church first, like, especially with like the Bible study. And, you know, Kevin and I both have history with Christianity. So even the house that we moved into, it was like, they had told us, think of this as like an extension of the church. It's like the 7M is here to help us build the church.
What was your role in 7M?
When we had first joined the church, and later on 7M, the management company, I was in school for social media marketing. That's what like I was taking classes for. I was doing it online. And Kevin and I went to lunch with like
Right. So she's just admitted they joined the church first and then the management company. But they got the house. She didn't say that they had to join the church to be part to get the house. She's specific. She's either specifically left that out and it's been heavily worded, or she didn't say it because it wasn't part of the condition.
like Robert and a few of the mentors of the church. And he had like said, "Oh, have you ever like thought about filming?" And I was like, "Yo, it's actually I film Kevin all the time, and like I don't mind being behind a camera." And that was something that Robert was saying was like, we have like a lot of talent, a lot of dancers, but we need more like videographers. Like, if you're down for it, I want to set you up with his son Isaiah, Reno, who is another member of 7M and Shekinah, so they can help teach you the ropes and get you behind a camera, and that way you can help like contribute basically to the operations. And so I think even being introduced to these people, I was like, wow, it showed me how much like possibility there was. Like, oh, you can really create a career off of something that you're passionate about. Right. And I think that was an alien concept to me. And so after like, you know what, maybe I will take up filming and just learn how to film and get mentored in film by Isaiah, because what he does has been incredible. He does a really good job. And I learned how to film. So I would film some of their brand deals. And then I also was part of their operations when we would do big, what we would call like content days, where all the dancers would get together and we would film like 50 to 70 videos in a day or two. And I would help them organize like the times, the schedules, getting everybody's music ahead of time, because it really was like a high production. And so I really helped like assistant direct basically with Isaiah, just making sure we're on schedule and the dancers are ready for their numbers and calling people who are next.
Is that a job of assistant director, short order?
How long is a content day typically?
It would be like a whole day event. We would start early and go into the night.
She's a producer. Yeah, she's already done it. It's on her resume.
Yeah, it is, honestly.
Yep, first AD work. Okay. And producer apparently as well.
That was my role.
So you're shooting this content, you're being mentored, you're learning this new craft, you're going to church services, Bible studies. Men and women Bible studies are different, or men's groups, women's groups. How does that all work?
So from my experience in the time that I was in Shekinah, there was a men's Bible study, there was a women's Bible study, and there were 2 church services, one on Sunday, one on Wednesday. And then I forget which day of the week, but there was another Bible study meeting that was more like inner circle as far as like the dancers go.
You know what? That, and sometimes second AD work, depending on the size production, that is not unusual. I mean, I've been involved in churches that's had a young mother's Bible study. They've had a men's Bible study. You can have a youth Bible study. You can have Bible studies for different groups, because sometimes it happens where you can have more in-depth discussions and talk about things. If, for example, you're in a group of the same people, so of women and men. So to me, having separate Bible studies is not unusual. What about archival consultant? If it's not on your resume, what have you really accomplished? True. And about having different church services, again, you can do different church services. Anyway, again, not unusual in a church, but anyway, let's see.
And so at first Kevin and I were going to all of them, and then after the first couple of weeks, Kevin and I were like disinvited from the super secret inner circle dance.
I didn't know disinvited was a word. Is disinvited a word, or should it be uninvited? Because I would have used the word uninvited, not disinvited. I'm going to just look that up because I'm interested. Disinvited. Oh, there you go. Might be a word. There you go. Disinvite, withdraw. There you go. Both disinvite and uninvite are correct. Well, I've learned something today. Michelle says, yes, most churches do have those types of Bibles. And it's no different to doing Friday night youth service either. Sometimes I'll do a different service on a different night for a group of people, a cohort of people. Or Sunday morning might be all in worship. Sunday night might be youth worship. Whatever. They have also, and then they have programs for kids and all. It's what the churches do.
Answers meeting.
Interesting. Why? Do you know why?
Kevin didn't want to go one day, and then it was like, okay, you're revoked. And for Kevin and I, it really helped because those nights that we didn't have to go to that super secret meeting, like we were able to just go on date nights, go to El Tejano's in Hollywood. And
hang on a minute. Hang on. She said when they didn't go, have to do the guard. I'm listening to her. Got the earpods in. I'll run back inside if I need to add my 2 cents with. Okay. I thought they couldn't go. I thought they couldn't leave because she's now saying that they would go to date nights and go outside and hang outside. But I thought they were supposed to be, they weren't allowed to go off and do their own things. But she's, again, discounting what we've been hearing, particularly from the archival consultant.
And just be outside and hang out. In hindsight, I'm really grateful we weren't there. But also maybe I would have seen more red flags if we were at the super secret meeting the whole time. But the part that helped it not feel like it was 4 or 5 days a week, like, oh, you're going constantly, because it's like we're still with a group of, people whom we considered friends.
Right.
And a lot of the times for like the women's meeting, or we're going over like work things. We're talking about like ideas that we have and things that we've done and the accomplishments that like the team has made. Like, oh, we got to do this and this happened. Yay. Praise the Lord. Like,
so you're going to this women's group with all these women. Did you experience any sort of red flags in those meetings? Or when did you experience the first kind of something's not right here?
Honestly, the first one where I really was like, made me really pause and ponder was when Marilyn, my roommate at the time, had decided to leave, and she was explaining to me a little bit of her story and how she felt like the church wasn't happy, or, that's the first thing that kind of gave me pause. Occupied by other
she hasn't mentioned anything. Hello, Mama Celeste. Okay, also, why she hasn't mentioned about the money. So how could they go on date night if they had no control of their bank accounts? Why could they do all these other things? And so her first red flag was when they decided to leave and explain a bit of her story and how she felt the church wasn't happy. You can't leave a cult freely or willingly, first of all. So the fact that they were able to leave, anyway.
Church members, their names are Marilyn and David, and their family. They had, at the time, 2 kids. They were living in that house first, and they had told us, Robert and the other mentors.
Oh, and for those that don't know, the mentors are believed to be part of a system to further cement control over the members of the church in 7M. We'll touch more on that further.
Yes, she also didn't, short order says she didn't mention getting permission to go on date night. No, she just went on date night. So interesting. Hey? There's a lot of flaws. So now we're hearing a completely different side of the story now. No, none of this helps KJ with her case. It gets into she said, he said. Correct, short order. But again, why didn't the mentors stop her? Did the mentors? Well, here's the thing. We're not hearing about anything like that. Why wouldn't she be making these points if it happened? It's for me, everything that I'm hearing is backing up what Miranda's side of the story, in my opinion.
Their episodes.
The people right under Robert at that time was Daniel and Shirley. And so we met Daniel and Shirley.
And Daniel's a mentor.
Daniel is a mentor under Robert.
Or
Considered
was, I
was a
guess.
mentor.
Yes.
This is Robert's right-hand man at the time. Like that was the look.
And you
yeah.
go take a look, and then you meet, you know, people, and yes, you
there. So we're like, oh, perfect. We'll be in the house while she's at work. She works from home. So I would watch the baby downstairs in the mornings.
Creating content with people.
Right over here, we don't know if we can. When we had first joined the church and later on 7M, that if you're down for it, I want to set you up with mentored, and he helps like assistant direct basically with Isaiah.
And Bible studies are different. Or mentor.
The first couple of weeks, Kevin and I were like disinvited from the super secret inner.
We're going to do this again because I want you to listen to this, because she talks about going on date nights.
Inner circle dancers meeting.
Interesting. Why? Do you know why?
Kevin didn't want to go one day, and then it was like, okay, you're revoked. And for Kevin and I, it really helped because those nights that we didn't have to go to that super secret meeting, like we were able to just go on date nights, go to El Tejano's in Hollywood and just be outside and hang out. In hindsight, I'm really grateful we weren't there. But also maybe I would have seen more red flags if we were at the super secret meeting the whole time. But the part that helped it not feel like it was 4 or 5 days a week, like, oh, you're going constantly, because it's like we're still with a group of, you know, people whom we considered friends.
Right.
And a lot of the times for like the women's meeting, or we're going over like work things. We're talking about like ideas that we have and things that we've done and the accomplishments that like the team has made. Like, oh, we got to do this and this happened. Yay. Praise the Lord. Like,
so you're going to this women's group with all these women. Did you experience any sort of red flags in those meetings? Or when did you experience the first kind of something's not right here?
Honestly, the first one where I really was like, made me really pause and ponder was when Marilyn, my roommate at the time, had decided to leave, and she was explaining to me a little bit of her story and how she felt like the church wasn't happy, or, you know, that's the first thing that kind of gave me pause.
So somebody said the church wasn't happy. Okay. And that made you pause? Okay.
Another red flag of mine, this is when Marilyn was still there, was I had heard Robert talking to his other son. Like, he has his son Isaiah Shin, and then he had another son that was living there at the time. And I was like in one of the like offices that they have on like the property where they film some of the things. And I heard Robert yelling at his, like ripping his son a new one over something that at the time I thought was like so minor. And I was sitting there and I was like, I know he can't hear me because I'm like he doesn't know I'm here listening. But I just heard him talk to him so recklessly. And I was like, that's a totally different person than I see.
So he heard a father yelling at his son. Does she realize that pastors aren't perfect either? That a totally different person to see on the pulpit. I mean, that's everybody. Everybody has a side to them. Anyway.
On the pulpit.
Yeah.
And that also gave me like a, is this how he is behind closed doors? And then also there were things like some of the things that Robert would say on the pulpit. They're like, oh, your donations are going to be used because we're a giving church. So we like to give our money to other churches and we want to do this, this, and that. And so like, I was like, okay, like that makes sense. That sounds like what we're supposed to be donating to for charity to help other people out. And like, I remember thinking like, I wonder if like our money is going where he says it's going. Is that really like what's happening?
That's right, Michelle. That's a different relationship as well. A different relationship. So to me, her red flag's a bit weird, in my opinion.
happening, I think, and then like things started to add up. The live came out, but what really like shook us, that was our big like moment, and it was talked about on the documentary, is when like Daniel, his right-hand man, and Chloe, his daughter, who were married or are married, left the church. And we were like, that is your co-captain and your child, and they're up and leaving and not saying a word to anyone and just disappeared off the face of the earth. What happened and what was going on to cause them to have, and Daniel had dedicated with 30 plus years of his life to this church.
Yeah.
For him to just up and leave, that isn't just going to be for no reason.
Yeah.
And then more things started coming out. After Daniel and Chloe left, I really saw the switch in Robert, because he starts tweaking on the podium. Like, it's just like it was to where like we are looking around at each other and we're like, is he okay?
Does she mean twerking? She says, and Robert starts tweaking on the podium. What's tweaking on the podium?
Is he okay?
Does she mean twerking?
And then more things started coming out. Appeared off the face of, when like Daniel, his right-hand man, and Chloe, his daughter, who were married or are married, left the church. And we were like, that is your co-captain and your child, and they're up and leaving and not saying a word to anyone and just disappeared off the face of the earth. What happened and what was going on to cause them to have, and Daniel had dedicated with 30 plus years of his life to this church.
Yeah.
For him to just up and leave, that isn't just going to be for no reason.
Yeah.
And then more things started coming out. After Daniel and Chloe left, I really saw the switch in Robert, because he starts tweaking on the podium. Like, it's just like it was to where like we are looking around at each other and we're like,
what does tweaking on the podium mean? Well, that's right. Lots of people leave their families for lots of reasons. With other lawyers, did they question why KJ up and left? Well, there you go. Tweaking is a slang term. Urban Dictionary. Repeatedly and obsessively engaging in a simple behavior or motion, like pulling at one's face to remove imagined objects that aren't there. To change something slightly, especially in order to make it more correct, effective, and suitable. If someone says they caught you tweaking, it means highly agitated, paranoid, obsessive behavior exhibited by individuals under the influence of methamphetamines or other certain illicit drugs. Is she saying that he was is she saying he was on drugs? He was tweaking on the platform, tweaking on the podium. So KJ trying to do her eyebrows, tweaking, got it. Well, it depends what context it's used. She could be just high on drugs.
like, is he okay? Is he okay? Because I thought the allegations were fake, but the way you're acting right now, you're acting like a guilty person.
Or maybe he's dealing with the fact that his children have left. I don't know.
That's when the panic set in.
That is really the good word to use, because we're sitting in the pews and we're watching this man and we're like, this looks like someone who's guilty and is panicking. This doesn't look like somebody who people are making baseless claims off of.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have been like, no, there's really no.
That's what I would take it to being drugged out or something. Interesting, Michelle. Blanket tweak.
Merit to this, but that's not what Robert had said. Like,
Yeah.
he just really was freaking out, and we were like, this is giving deranged.
It's getting deranged.
We'll be right back after the break.
Lowest prices at just the beginning.
Discover how a group of young prosecutors.
Hey, I'm Gianna Prudential, like resume specialist Morgan St.
Hey, it's Andrea Gunning, host of Betrayal.
It was so real for me.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating.
So 7M and the Shekinah Church. I still have so many questions for Daniel and Chloe of like what
So many.
was
I have so many questions for Daniel and Chloe.
I get like what was it? What was that moment that made them say I'm out?
Yeah.
I'm done, which is kind of the next question I have for you is like what was that moment that you and Kevin were like this isn't for us. We need to reassess our situation and we need to get out of this.
Yeah, so when Daniel and Chloe had left, it really made us kind of sit and review.
You've got the Bunnings website up. See, it's working.
Because again, these are people that are like closest to him, his right-hand man, his daughter. And for me, I really thought about like, how am I being treated here? And while the mentors never spoke to me any type of crazy way, I was also feeling like at the end of the day, I don't feel good after spending a lot of time.
So the mentors never spoke to her in a crazy way. So another allegation debunked, right? What she's doing, she's debunking allegations.
The time with these people because it's especially my position where it was like I'm around the dancers but I'm not like a dancer myself. I'm not an influencer, I'm not a public figure. I kind of help with behind the scenes and I help with production and like that's all like fine and dandy, but like I think part of that separation too of like, well, you're not what they are, and wrapped up in like, well, I don't think God,
you know what I think, sometimes some things are none of anyone's business. Well, that's true too.
God has this calling on your life. You're not meant to be in front of the camera. Like you don't have what it takes to be in front of the camera. I
Clearly,
think
they've never seen your hair because you have the most fabulous hair and she's absolutely stunning. So she deserves, if she wanted to be in front of the camera, she could be in front of the camera. Thank you. She chooses not to.
And I think that was really like the feeling of it too. And like, even with like social media, them telling me like, you know, that's not what God has called on your life. You don't have to be on social media because I don't think God has that for you. And so even like at the time I was like building my TikTok following and I think I had like 50,000 followers, like, and I was starting to get somewhere and it was like, oh, well, maybe this is just a distraction from like the path I feel like I should be walking with God. Yeah. And I had deleted all of my social media accounts.
No.
Yeah.
Because they said it wasn't your calling
And that's where like that influence comes in.
Yeah, but she said she didn't have to, she hasn't said she was made to do it. She did it willingly and freely.
And of like, it's just going to be a distraction for you. Like, oh, but if that's what you want to do, but you'll go to hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's whatever you want to do, but that's not how you get to heaven.
Yeah.
You know?
Daniel and Chloe leave and then
I start going over how I've been treated in the church. Things aren't adding up. And then I think about like how I've heard how other people have been spoken to. And then like all of the dancers had gotten together, like Kevin and some of the other dancers, they were filming a video that day. And they kind of were all like testing the waters with each other. And they're like, so does Robert seem like he's panicking to you? Like, does something seem off? I think that was like the exact words that were asked was like, does something seem off to you guys? And then it's just like the dam broke. And then they all started talking and sharing their stories. And then I got together with two of the other dance members who decided to leave. And like, as like the girls, we started like sharing stories. And I heard about how like their mentor would treat them and it would be insane, like the body shaming, the this and that, and like the direct like firsthand accounts of like where they were with their mentor versus like where I was with Shirley, who was my mentor. I was like, she never speaks to me like that. And the intensity, I think, of what they were put through, and we start like comparing things side by side, and we're like, this is not a safe situation.
She's got to also remember, because she wasn't as talented, Mr. Charles says, yes, and she wasn't a dancer, what she looked like or how she was going to look on screen in front of a camera is different to being behind a camera.
And I think we really need to leave and take anybody with us that we can, because nobody should be here right now.
Yeah. In that conversation, were James and Miranda a part of that at the time, or?
The initial conversation, no. But I think once the first few people who were talking realized, like, hey, I think we should leave. Like, let's really decide to get out of here because this is dangerous. This caused a lot of emotional distress. And once, like, we had decided that, Kevin especially brought it to all of his friends at the time who he felt like.
So they said they wanted to leave and take everybody that wanted to leave with them. Well, isn't that a bit of a coercion thing too?
Were his brothers, but as of now it's not that case. But he brought it to James and Ches, and all of the dancers had gotten together at one point to talk about, like, hey, let's really sit and reflect here. Like, this is not safe.
Yeah. There was so much coming out at that time that I would imagine it's a little bit overwhelming. And then obviously, like, you're trying to
So not to diminish, so different people
decide
had
what
different-
is, what.
See, she has admitted her experience wasn't a bad one from what she's saying.
What's real, what's not, what's accurate,
Yes.
what's not. And then you're basing it on the experience that you have, and some are more extreme than others,
Right.
which we heard in the doc. Some people talk more about theirs, which would love to kind of dive.
Sometimes it feels like these young people just want an easy life where everything is taken care of and they are handed God some money for zero. Well, that's what it seems like. As I said, she did not say when Robert offered them the accommodation that they had to be part of the church.
Dive deeper into later, but
I think that's what made it so hard for us too, is hearing all of these stories and what people like in the public were saying, like, oh, you guys, they're doing this to you and they're doing that to you, and me being like, no, they're not. Like, some of the things to me felt outlandish at the time, and I took it with a grain of salt because I was like, oh, I didn't have that personal experience, so it must not be true. But like, come to find out that is really not the case. There's a lot of times where someone treats you one way, but they treat somebody else a completely different way. I think we were still being like initiated because, again, we weren't part of the inner circle. Like, it was still very much like, let's take them out to dinner, let's do this and that. Like, we're still being, it felt like, courted. And like, while we were going to the sermons, like, there was just a lot that we weren't invited to, like, but there was a lot of money that was lost. There was a lot of like separation between me and like my friends and family that now that I sit and like look back on, I'm like, oh, that's time that I really lost.
But she was able to go out with date night with her husband. Again, she started to contradict stuff, right?
Right.
Under what I thought was something that was going to be good for me spiritually, mentally, but it just turns out it really wasn't. There was so many ulterior motives.
Yeah, which I'm so sorry. So with this podcast, what do you hope to accomplish with it? What do you hope people take away?
I'm hoping to give more people who are affected by this group a platform, especially if they feel like they haven't been able to speak in the past, or they even didn't want to speak in the past, but they want to now. I'm hoping they have like the opportunity to like tell their story and, hopefully heal from it. And within that, like, kind of give a warning to other people who might be listening that like it can happen to anybody. I know it feels like, oh, I'll never be around the situations, but like, we've seen this same story with just different wrapping paper on it. It's not always like Jesus and God that makes it a cult.
Right.
So I'm really hoping to help like tell these stories that I think need to be told and help some healing come from like a really dark and dangerous situation that a lot of us were in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So on that same note, I really want to know, like, what do you hope to get out of this podcast?
I think having done the documentary, it's about continuing the story, continuing to have a space that people can feel they can share their story, not be judged by it, have some healing in that process, and hopefully continue the story to expose this organization and this person and these people to maybe reunite families, to maybe shake people out of.
What if the families don't want to be reunited?
Of situations, or maybe it's like not even shake them out of it. Maybe it's like they want to get out and they don't know how, and maybe listening to this podcast, whether that be inside Shekinah or 7M, or another controlled environment say like, wait, I can relate to
controlled environment. Date nights and subsidized accommodation were a dark place to be in. I know, right? Where can I sign up?
that. I've experienced something like that and maybe help them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I really do care about you. And I'm so thankful that we had that time in the fuss shop. And I have so much respect for you because I think going through that process and filming with you over the year that we were doing this, like the amount of information and the detail that you provided was so helpful to just better understand the inner workings. But also more importantly, for people to understand that anyone can fall into this. Like you are obviously a very educated, smart woman.
I wouldn't want to be reunited with a sister like Marilyn.
That is street savvy as well. I think I leaned in because I was like, I kind of feel like I'm similar to her. And if she was able to fall into something like this, then really anyone is.
Oh, next week they're going to talk about Marilyn. Ooh. It says more on that next week with my former housemate Marilyn. Don't you dare let us find out you have. Oh yeah, I know. Imagine if they had to have a housekeeping. Hey, guess who's live on TikTok? I'm gonna swap across. As long as I'm talking over it, as long as we talk over it, we should be okay. But if they want to ban me, they can ban me. I don't care. I'm in enough trouble now.
Just viewing, like, Gypsy hasn't made much of a dent. Like, I had up close to 100,000.
Yeah, I think my last one was.
Oh, we've got
4 weeks ago was 98,000. 3 weeks ago was 95,000. 3 weeks ago, 84,000.
So we've got,
yet in that time,
You're literally a day late.
So Scarlett's on, Faith is on, Jessica's on, and Ray Shadow's
but
on.
yet most of my sister wives stuff, a lot of it goes over 100K.
Oh, yeah, she was showing them her YouTube channel. So anyway.
So they befriended me because of my platform.
So down here are all the gifts you can have.
And
what does she want?
Christy wanted me to help Gypsy.
Oh, we're still on to this.
Manage her social media and give her advice on stuff. But Gypsy doesn't listen to anyone.
Neither do you.
I love her.
Nikki always watches KJ who's watching. Well, see, she can't complain because
but that fly down for that video today was.
She can't complain
good
because
she just
she's doing
posted
exactly
it
what she does with Bree.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she did that video. She did like a fashion like for fall.
And KJ, Hallie doing the KJ with the promise of reuniting families. Good luck with that. Yes, good luck with that.
Today, and she'll make $0 on both.
They weren't even along.
No, she used music. TikTok, you're not eligible to get paid on content in the creator fund if you use copyright music. And she used copyright music in both videos.
Well, wouldn't her PR team be the one to like look this over? Because I'm still surprised she hasn't taken it down.
No. Like PR teams aren't good with social media. They're not supposed to be. That's not their job.
But they specialize in social media.
They're the same people that think it's appropriate to do copyright strikes on YouTube. It's not.
Yeah.
What?
No. Yes, and I'll tell people when I know something, I know it. No,
it's a very fine line.
Yeah, like you don't do that kind of stuff on YouTube. Like I learned that
KJ,
very
look
hard.
at I have to as much as possible. Yes,
it is a big issue.
But didn't she say that the PR team was the one that was putting out her content?
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
Here's the thing, you guys. Gypsy wants someone to blame for everything. Gypsy's paying them. They are her customer.
She gets to tell them no if she wants to tell them no. They don't control her. She's paying them as a customer to do a job. They have no legal hold over her.
Well, they do. If
Sorry,
she breaches her contract, she signed a contract with them.
Isn't her PR team also her lawyer? So like,
No, not the same. Her lawyer is her manager, and he doesn't know
Okay,
anything about social media either.
Oh, okay. Well, she knows that.
Okay, let me show you. Like,
so now she's saying her lawyer
I was
doesn't
just
know
gonna
anything
say,
about
like,
social
if
media.
they're the one and the same, like you have to wonder. But
they don't.
Still,
PR companies aren't supposed to do this kind of stuff. This isn't what they do.
Oh, here we go.
This is her channel. Hold on. How does she have 10 million followers on TikTok, but only 66,000 on YouTube?
That's she is something else
Here's
over
the
there.
difference between YouTube and TikTok. You can't buy shit for on YouTube or you'll lose your channel. Look at that video from 2 days ago, 16,000 views.
Yes, I think she's on her son's iPad again.
That's some humble pie.
So guess
The
what's
big
going to
slice of
appear in
humble
his
pie.
background, in his history?
Her channel has a total of 1 million views.
That's not good.
Someone's jealous.
How do you have
Jealous.
such a large discrepancy between TikTok No, the demographic of YouTube isn't older. No. YouTube is literally the largest social media video platform. Every other app
Maya
that
has a
exists
lawyer who specializes
barely
in
can
divorce.
compete with YouTube.
My son, that's all he
Oh,
watches.
that's
and he's
yes.
25.
It's $90K a month.
YouTube is the godfather. They are the biggest. They basically own the market. All the money that you'll make in video production is going to be on YouTube. You will not make anything comparable on any other app.
It's a rerun. It's the same thing. She says Brianna and
I was
Gypsy would need to
thinking,
talk.
well, before when I was supporting Gypsy, I was following her on here, but I never even thought or bothered to even go to her YouTube and subscribe because that wouldn't be what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like TikTok, not YouTube. But that's when I was following her. Now I'm just like, oh, she showed up.
No, YouTube is the largest platform for video production and video.
She's not getting an issue that some people don't want to go onto
TikTok
YouTube.
only has a fraction of the of this.
Some people
So
want to do
technically,
TikTok.
She should have more followers on YouTube than she should here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But the algorithm is much different on YouTube. They promote, like, TikTok doesn't have filters to stop misinformation. A lot of misinformation spreads on TikTok because of the lack of
Yes, we
control.
know, because
That's why a lot of people like it. But YouTube doesn't allow that kind of stuff. There's a lot more rules on YouTube. I don't think TikTok doesn't come close to YouTube. They don't. Not even close.
I can't. The only thing is we can't see the comments this way. Doing it this way. Oh, there we go. That's why she's on TikTok every night begging. Send me a corgi. Send me a corgi. Yes.
TikTok has $150 million in the United States.
Not any of that she follows.
TikTok has 1 billion users.
FYP.
YouTube has 2.7 billion.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Some people prefer the TikTok way, the short method, and that's okay.
TikTok has 1 billion. YouTube has 2.
Here's a question then.
Billion.
Here's a question for her. Why on earth has she come onto TikTok if it's only half of the viewership? Why would she waste her time?
I remember when YouTube came out, and that was like the biggest thing. That was so revolutionary.
Well, it's still because it's got the most robust system.
Exactly, yeah. Although it's changed a lot. I've seen it change.
So why is she going to a smaller platform then?
Right.
Well, you're 12. You're 26, I think, right?
Me?
But YouTube has here's the thing. YouTube has a system in place.
Okay, but Mickle
that
Makeup
is
has YouTube. Wow.
way more robust than TikTok. On YouTube, you can get $13 for 1,000 views. Sometimes more. No other platform comes close.
But why are you wasting your time on a platform that's not making you money?
No other platform comes close.
Why wouldn't you be on the platform that makes you the most money?
That video, I think I did a video about Gypsy. It has 1.3 million views. I think I made $800 on it on TikTok.
Because when you think about video, you think YouTube. You don't think TikTok. You don't think.
Well, no, I'm
any
saying
of the
like
other
on TikTok,
platforms.
I made $800 for 1.3 million views.
Right.
I make that on a 70,000 view video on YouTube.
But you're also with YouTube looking at, you have the backing of.
Well, that's right.
The entirety of Google behind it. You're also looking at the notoriety behind.
Well, right, but my
you're
point
on
is
YouTube.
my point is that she can't get the credibility on the platform where she could make the most money.
No, absolutely not.
Doesn't matter.
And it's because Google has the most robust AdSense program for creators out there. No one can compete with them.
But why? But why does it matter?
Even Facebook pays a fraction of that.
I hate to say it, but when Google controls the video platform plus the entire ad platform, you're fighting against a powerful much beyond yourself. So like,
and TikTok is not a United States owned company. So there's that whole problem.
Scarlett is
right,
talking.
and they're at
And there's a
risk of
possible
their
ban
own
on
stuff.
TikTok still pending.
Right, that's yet to be determined, but
Oh, something's being poured.
So on
we'll see
TikTok,
where that
having 10
comes.
million followers doesn't mean very much.
That's why
you can have less than 100,000 followers on YouTube and work full time and make a good living if you want to dedicate your life to that kind of content.
Scarlett, that's her.
Well, I mean, she's making some good money. I mean, even if it's $100, I mean, I'd be thankful for that. Even during her lives, people are just shoving those gifts down her
She's
throat
not
for
doing lives very much
This is
anymore.
Ray Shadow.
Yeah, not anymore. But when she was, people are just throwing them at her.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into more detail about my video from yesterday. You can watch my video from yesterday. Stop spamming or I'll block you. If you put that in my comments one more time, I'm blocking you.
She's a mean girl.
TikTok doesn't pay very much at all. So I did it. There's a video on my YouTube or on my TikTok that has like 130,000.
She's trying to get everyone to go over to her YouTube. She wants
I would make 10 times that on YouTube, 11 times, 12 times that.
And I've also heard, so I follow in the tech creator space, computers and that stuff, they break it down between, your X, your Y, your Z. They make more from ads where they inject, they're promoting whatever, and they make more from YouTube than they do from other places. So like,
everywhere. Like Facebook, my Facebook page is like a fraction, but you want to like saturate so that you're on all platforms, right? You don't want to be dependent to one.
Oh, absolutely. If you're dependent on one, you're beholden to the whims of whoever the current CEO is of
But the
that
problem
platform.
with what Gypsy's doing is she's courting the wrong platform.
Right.
She makes 10 times over
TikTok
there.
is not the right platform to court because you're not going to make the money that you think you're going to make. And even her PR told her that. Her PR told her she needs to drive traffic to YouTube. Why? Because YouTube pays. TikTok does not.
And I'm sorry, with everything that's recently happened.
Oh yes,
in
she's a
regards to
she's a
TikTok,
PR expert. Where's Peter's
you'd
list?
be an idiot to remain
AJ has
with
heard, and I think
TikTok as opposed to YouTube.
Through ad branding.
Well,
Yes.
there's the whole the spine government of China potentially stealing our data.
Right. That's its own major issue, and I could go into that at length, and I barely know any of it because I only have a cursory knowledge of it.
That's Scarlett again talking.
Sorry, I'm literally walked outside and I noticed that I had 800 things of cobwebs in my front door, and I was like, I am not that house. Yeah, I live out in the middle of nowhere, and all we do is get spiders.
I mopped too.
Um,
mopped the side of my house.
you live in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get spiders because
by the light outside.
it's
and
like
kinda
saying I live in the
probably.
bush and I've got all I get is
Literally on a line
Right.
with I just sprayed this down less than a month ago, and it looks like a haunted house.
It's Friday.
She hasn't stepped out her front door for over a month.
Sure that you leave your presents out for Jason,
Mm.
and it's also almost October.
How do you get rid of spiders from starting webs in your?
When you don't clean, says Mocha.
Here's the thing, my husband doesn't care about this kind of stuff, but I do.
That's a man thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because mine don't either. He looked at me crazy when I was mopping the side of the house.
Oh, won't you?
YouTube does not take a big.
Oops. Lost my internet. It's either mine or hers. Maybe she's blocked me. I don't know. Oh, it may be a while till I try. Oh, yeah, it's me. They're making a nice home for babies. All right, let's try this again. So anyway, so this is what she's. If you've not seen her on TikTok,
Pay me a dime, and
Before?
I get paid from the ad revenue.
Well, that too, as well as the premium users. Anytime they watch your videos,
Yeah.
at least from what I've heard,
Yeah, you can get paid for that
they
too.
pay in too, because
Yes.
that's what I do. I'm a premium user, so that way I don't get ads while I'm riding motorcycle.
Yeah, I have
listening
premium
to
too.
videos.
Yeah, if you don't want to watch ads, you can pay for premium subscriptions, and then yeah. Okay.
Isn't
I don't know
this-
who these people are that want to join, but let's see.
isn't this exciting?
They
Well,
may not
Patreon's
know.
another way. Patreon doesn't take very much either.
No, I can't do Patreon. I won't do Patreon. It's so clunky, and it's like you have to use YouTube to stream or another platform. And I don't like charging people for content. It feels weird.
You don't want to be McKelty?
No, I don't.
It's not charging. Of course, next month KJ will be on
If
Patreon.
you're a creator where you draw stuff, that would be a good level for Patreon. But Katie would not be a very.
See, there are some YouTubers that don't do membership.
That get demonetized on YouTube use Patreon to supplement, or if they do content that won't get monetized, like meaning that you get a yellow for your video, they have a Patreon to supplement. So a lot of true crime people use Patreon because YouTube won't pay them. I don't have that problem because my videos are all monetized. I don't need Patreon.
And
it also is one of those where, oh hey, you want to keep whatever.
She will only put
behind
videos up there. She'll
a
only keep
paywall.
videos on there that's making her
I
money.
feel so icky, like Natasha Cooper charging money for an autopsy. It's gross. Okay.
Yeah.
She's just jealous.
I don't
she
know who
can
these
do it
people
first.
are. I'm gonna see if you're gonna come on, and if you're not coming on, then
Will I try and get on?
Hello?
Oh, Kelly.
Hello? Kelly?
She fell asleep. She's snoring. Wait.
I think that was Scarlett. Was that you, Scarlett?
No, 'twas not me.
Oh my God,
she's
snoring. Oh my God, she's snoring. That's hilarious.
You can't buy subs on Patreon. Well, that's true
Almost
too,
that
short
time
order.
was accidental.
She fell asleep. How did she like approve herself?
That was not Scarlett making that noise.
I thought it was. I don't know.
Bored out of her
In
brain.
fairness, there have been plenty of times in the past where I've fallen asleep to you at work while listening to your live.
She might go
streams.
live nightly, but doesn't really.
I won't falter whatsoever. I'm also very, very strange because I listen to this stuff at work.
Scarlett's funny, saying she goes to sleep listening to Katie.
She's doing something right.
This is boring.
Who admitted what? What is she talking about?
That is a blank profile picture.
Who's she talking about? Is she talking about me? Hello, Jennifer. I've admitted to using. Is this you, Bree? Is that you, Bree? I've only told Bree. Come on my channel. Come on, Penelope. Come on. Hello, Bree.
Penelope. You blocked me.
Bree. Come on, Brianna. Is that you,
No,
Christy?
she ain't doing it. You don't have the balls.
Is that you, Christy? Who is it? Is that you, Vicky?
Penelope, that's such an obnoxious name to pick.
Wow.
Oh, it's like Bertha. Sorry to anybody named Bertha, but you know, I have my own grievances.
Has anyone heard me publicly say I've made millions on YouTube?
No.
I don't think I say that.
No, I've never heard you say that.
I thought she was referring to Gypsy because everybody's saying, oh, she's making millions off of her book and all this stuff.
I've been following you for like, what, 5 years? You never said you made millions off. Anyway, anyone that is looking to give hearts, tap right in that middle of the screen where it says without a crystal ball and
It's
Katie
weird.
dropping
Brianna
a
is not
crystal
live
ball.
yet. Why isn't Brianna live?
You're their best friend ever. Don't you think they'd be like at your
Why isn't Brie live? Is she bananaed?
Penelope, can you come in the box? We want to say hi. I want to say hi.
She
Come
did
on,
do a
Bree.
video. Her last video was saying that she got banned because somebody, Ryan Lee, I think, did it. Something happened, but I think it was only 10 minutes.
She's sleeping for her mandatory 5 minutes.
Isn't this Mean Girl stuff? This is Mean
Can I
Girl
say that?
stuff.
How long is she banned for?
Mean Girl stuff.
The video said 10 minutes, but
Petty Betties. I know.
She's such a victim.
but she said Ryan Lee did it. I can't. Something
Says
that Ryan Lee put
the
in the box.
the Queen of
I can get a
Victims.
video if you want to listen to it off my boyfriend's phone.
No. I'm just, you know. Bree without the facts. Okay. I spoke to Bree without the facts, Ray, and she has a post about you on here, calling you a minion.
Me? I'm a minion? Am I a cute one?
But she told me that she doesn't like how you act on my panel.
Oh.
Wait.
Wait, me or Ray?
Ray.
So,
and I told her to not be mean to you. I said she's an adult with a disability and chronic illness. Don't be mean to her, and she didn't remove the video.
Oh, she did or didn't?
Yeah, Bree without the facts. She told me that she didn't like the way that Ray acts on my panel, and that she also doesn't like me.
Well, a lot of people don't like me. I have a whole bloodline who doesn't
That's
like
that
me.
girl that I told you about that like I had to play HR to. And she kept sending me stuff, and I kept telling her to stop, and then I reported her stuff, and that's why. Yeah.
I didn't even know she existed.
She told me that she didn't like me. She didn't like Nina. She didn't like Natasha, and she didn't like someone else. There was like 4 creators she didn't like.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt me that people don't like me, but then why? Then how about she just
We would
watches
just
when
sit
I'm
at
not
the
on
table.
or not watch you at all? It's so simple.
I said people have heard me correct my panel and tell them not to yell at the chat or to be nice. Like, I think for the
I've
most
told
part
them
we're
not to be
nice.
nice.
I
Oh,
can be kind
Camille.
of brutal at times, but
Number
I
one
feel like I have to be.
fangirl.
So first of all, I'm a salty
You're a salty bitch, yes.
add-in. Ray, I have a question. Are you Stuart, Kevin, Bob, Dave, Phil, Tim, Carl, or Jorge, George?
I don't know
I
what you're
need to know.
referencing. Wait, what are you referencing? I don't recognize it.
Minions. I need to
Oh,
know.
from the Minions movies. Oh, I have not seen them in so long. It was like pushed down my throat in high school, in middle school, but I hope to see the new movie soon. But I'll take whatever you assign me. I'm a crazy bitch, so whichever one of the Minions is that, I'll take it.
I feel old.
You know what bothers me
don't-
about Bree's videos is how close her face is in on all of these videos. And how
What?
bad her eye makeup is.
Wow.
Oh, what were you saying, Scarlett?
Hold up. I need to tell Brianna and Gypsy, no one uses Morphe palettes anymore.
What?
Nobody uses Morphe. It's like not cool.
What's Morphe?
So if you're gonna post to like get ready with me, it's fall. Using a palette of a company that's in bankruptcy that literally isn't relevant and no one uses anymore is weird. Also, Gypsy, not buttoning your pants and having your fly open on that same video is also weird.
She didn't finish getting dressed.
Someone says I use Morphe, but that's because I'm poor.
I use Morphe, but it's because I'm poor. Well, listen, like I don't care if you're not trying to, Hazel, you're not trying to be an influencer. Like, and Nina even did a video with her about this.
She watches.
She's like, you can't promote products that people don't use.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard was never abused by her mother.
Like she's
playing.
Morphe is like, I don't know. At its peak, it was 2018.
Wow.
I don't know. Isn't.
So yeah, this is what she's licking your brushes and using them is weird and that's into. This is what her lives are like. Very mean girly, you know, and if anyone says it's wrong to stream, I'm talking over it. She's going to offend some ladies. Morpheus. Well, the thing is, you can still file for bankruptcy and you can still be okay. There's a company that filed for receivership in Australia and it's traded its way out. You can do that. It's not a.
Just tell her that. She paid $25 for an app to tell her.
Yeah.
With a filter, she's a solid 6 with a filter.
Yeah.
One of the filters on here said I was mentally stable, and I laughed.
I'm a solid. I think I'd call myself like a solid.
Hang on.
I don't care. That's the thing. Why is Gypsy so weird about like? I don't care. I was trying to I was gonna come up with.
I think, because I mean, a lot of people find me attractive and a lot of people don't, and that's their prerogative. And I go, I mean, hey,
I don't know. I don't think it's a younger mindset. Todd Chrisley was the same. I mean, he was in his 50s. Cody, look at Cody Brown and his 4 hairs that he can't let go of.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a
Maybe
question.
more of a mindset.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why? I thought she was in maternity jeans. I thought we had this whole live.
Okay,
She
you got,
could no longer fit in normal clothes. And they're now wearing stretchy band pants.
Yeah, and
What
those are
is
not maternity jeans.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that's why her fly's open. Hello.
Why is her fly open though?
Last week I had to restart it.
Look,
And,
why is your fly open, Gypsy?
That's what I had to do last week.
No, please,
Alright.
for the trans woman of the panel, please, those of you that were gifted with a uterus, please explain to me, do they not have very
Yes.
expandable
So, yeah.
to the point where it does?
So the jeans that you get with pregnancy, you wouldn't show the top of it. They they have like a band on top of them. They don't have the kind of, she's not wearing, those are not maternity jeans.
It looks like a pair of leggings in the front. So it's like if you were to cut off the front of a piece of leggings and
No, I'm not.
sew it
No,
to the front
no,
of the
I'm-
jeans instead of where
no,
the
I'm-
button is, it
no.
would be like a thing. That's what it'd be.
I literally
Okay.
wore maternity jeans for like 2 years after
Yeah, I
I
had
had
to
mine.
restart. I had to switch it all off and then put the
They're so comfortable.
I got them.
screen on and then the computer.
I mean, jeans and some of them are more stretchy than others, and then some
Yeah,
you have to
that's how
break
that goes.
in. But I mean, I think
Alright,
she broke in those jeans. Just get the maternity pants with the under tank.
Hey, sorry, I had to take a phone call.
Above your belly.
Probably heard some of that.
I don't, so she's not wearing maternity jeans. I had this one pair and I swear to God, I wore them until they were like falling apart.
Those are good then.
Even after, because they were so soft and so comfy. And like when you're bloated and you have your period and you haven't lost the baby weight yet.
Oh, no. It is not working. Okay, here we go. Sorry, my internet's not working very well.
I wear leggings, but I'm like before I was pregnant, I was 5'2" and 94 pounds. So I start showing pretty quickly. So I have to start wearing stretchy clothes, probably not like super quick. I would say probably about 16, 17 weeks. It's noticeable.
I had a belly by 5 months, right?
Oh.
Yeah, me too.
I had a high belly. Like my son started out high. I don't know if that.
My boys are high too.
Like my belly wasn't. It was more up by my ribs. But I definitely. I looked pregnant at the time that she's pregnant right here.
Oh yeah, for sure. My belly button was already turned inside out at her point. I don't know what she's.
I didn't show till I was
what
6
she's
months
got going on.
pregnant.
She looks smaller than when she started, and I'm a little confused about that.
That keeps happening, especially in the latest videos. Like, girl, you're not even showing.
I know
She's
somebody
short
that lost a lot
stature,
of
too,
weight
so it
because
would be
they
more
were very
noticeable.
sick.
4'11".
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
We only see this with people with like longer torsos and like her taller that can like get away with it for longer, and she doesn't have that. So I'm really confused.
I know she's pregnant, but like there's this thing about the bump that confuses me.
Is she photoshopping it? Like,
I don't
you
know.
can video Photoshop it to make it look smaller, so I guess you look quote unquote more appealing, even though pregnancy is appealing.
I don't know. I mean,
She
I don't
loves
know.
being pregnant, I think.
And second child in my same uniform.
It looks like she ate Taco Bell and hasn't pooped yet.
Right,
No.
yeah. Or like her uterus is sticking out more. And also when you're not pregnant, we do have like that little foop in our belly, and that's our uterus that kind of sticks out.
Same with me too.
I do want to say, in fairness to Gypsy, there is an entire TLC series, and I didn't know I was pregnant, and they do
He also
tend
didn't
to
know that she
show.
didn't have muscular dystrophy and faked not being able to walk for 12 years. So there's that.
Called it.
Oh.
Fairness in where fairness is, but you know, there is an entire series on I didn't know I was pregnant, so
I didn't know I couldn't walk, so I killed my mom.
No, like sometimes, I mean, obviously different scenarios, but my bio mom didn't know she was pregnant with me until like 5 to 6 months while she was using stuff. And then that's how I became a Ray. She had no idea until that time.
So she's had ultrasounds and she's gone to the doctor. So it's clear that she's pregnant, but I still have a hard time trusting that she's pregnant.
Because it's Gypsy saying it, I'm sure.
Unbelievable.
honestly, your chat has been the exact same. Like,
But
oh my god,
everybody
I don't know if she's pregnant.
does pregnancy
No,
differently.
she has confirmed she's pregnant through her videos and whatnot. Like,
She,
I know, but
everybody
I
does it.
still, it's hard. And then you got Ryan, who's all like, "What if I was the father? They look stupid."
I love it.
Yeah, like the question isn't like that she's like, it's not that she's
Can you
not
hear it
showing
clicking
right
in the
now,
background?
It's the fact that like she starts showing and then she stops showing. That's
Yes,
the
it's like she
problem.
takes a good poop and then she's like,
It's like that teen pregnancy. I knew girls who did that, pretend to be pregnant so they get attention, and then they were like skinny, and then they would somehow be bloated the next day. This is what this reminds me of.
I hate to say it, but my ex's kid was almost that way. Like, it was. That's its own topic. We won't go into it.
I just
We'll
want to remind
take that
everyone
and go, okay, and move
that
on.
Gypsy lost another 100,000 followers.
Oh.
She's lost 200,000 followers in the last month.
So, with that being said, those of you that are gamers, please, in the chat, press F to pay respects. Thank you.
What?
Press F?
It's its own thing. It's from a former game where...
Okay, so I want to show you something though. This video, I'm pretty sure she's directing this at me. I'm pretty sure she's directing this at me because she thinks that I'm jealous of her and that's why I'm talking about her, which is hysterical.
Ooh. Wow.
Said you're not in my time zone, but you wanna be. Or come right on me. I mean camaraderie. Said you're not in my time zone, but you wanna be.
That's to me.
How?
What does that even mean? I saw that and I cringed.
It's camaraderie. It's like basically saying that like it's Samantha.
Did you see the switch in
Carpenter
on the desk there too?
And it's like she's basically saying that like you're not on my level.
How does
You
she
want to be on my
kind
level?
of above it?
Well, her words don't match her
How
words.
do you get that?
Literally.
But
Yeah,
she made
because
that
the
after
channel
I made
case
my
was
video.
getting
So
attention
that was
that she
definitely
wasn't.
for me.
I didn't know who that was targeting because that was just a bunch of randomness, and I was like, okay,
No,
go
that
on.
was to me.
How do you know that?
She's watching then. Oh,
Like camaraderie, you know, being on your side, being on her side. That's what camaraderie is.
I
Like
think
being
you know
on her
you're above her in a lot of ways.
No, so she's saying that like I want to be on her side, but I'm not. Like I'm not above. Like she's so above me.
That's why she's pregnant while still married, getting a divorce with. Then we don't know the baby's father, and they're
Who's
holding
clicking?
on.
Who's clicking? What is that clicking?
I'm not clicking anything.
Is that you, Charlotte? What is that?
That's probably me. Shouldn't be. It should be coming from my earbud, but
Okay. Sorry, I don't know who's doing it. Okay, hold up.
Did you call her Charlotte?
Scarlett, I said. What's the song that she was singing?
Oh, I don't know.
Bad Chem. Okay. So here's the lyrics that she was. I have all these like I have restrictions on my son's iPad.
She's put restrictions. Ah, see, she's using her son's iPad.
Yeah, someone's doing Morse code over there. Come on.
For change.
Can you mute your mic, Scarlett? While
Hi,
you're not
Mrs.
talking?
H.
absolutely.
Okay, thanks. All right.
So now she's told them you.
I'll tell you what she's saying. No, I
Guys,
just
we're not getting any hearts. Tap the screen.
Okay. Come right on me. I mean camaraderie. Said you're not in my time zone, but you want to be.
What'd you say?
Come right on me.
Oh, God.
I mean camaraderie. Said you're not in my time zone, but you want to be. Either that or she's saying that. I don't know. Is she saying that to Ryan?
I don't. Oh, see, when you said "come on me," you lost me there, and then I got more disturbed about that video.
This is so worse. Pregnant. That is.
Anyway, I think I might leave it there because, like,
Oh, Faith, you sounded really far away.
she's pretty boring. As you can see, it's pretty boring. She's still live. How many people? So anyway, and I'm going to leave it there because it's another hour and a half, and I've got to do some stuff. Can they mute the host? Yeah, well, I've just got out of it. But just to show you what her lives are like, that's live. I mean, usually Llama Girl breaks them up into little bite-sized chunks for us. But we've done a lot. But that's what she's like on TikTok. So thank you for sticking with me. And I hope we've had fun listening to the podcast. For me, I think it sort of helps 7M's case more than anything because, I mean, she did acknowledge that she had a different experience to other people. And there was a few things that were said that, in my opinion, made things questionable. Like, she didn't say that being a member of the church was a condition of getting the house. And I'm going to be interested to hear what the friend says, the roommate says, because remember the roommate never was part of 7M, was part of the church. And this is where it's going to get mucky, in my opinion, because they just clump it all together. And it's interesting because I haven't seen any evidence or any proof that 7M and Shekinah Church are actually connected, like that there's one entity that does all the payments. Maybe there is, but I haven't seen it. So until I see that, I'm not necessarily going to be convinced about any of that. Anyway, as I said, I need to head off and do some jobs because the day is going away. And I will catch you next time. So thank you for watching. If you could hit like, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.